What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ and welcome back to a brand new Path of Exile 2 build guide video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my critical hit damage magnetic salvo. Now we're hitting 500k damage hits with this ability, and we're absolutely shredding through bosses, even 1 to 2 hitting them at times. It's absolutely amazing. We're blasting through packs and maps, and I think you guys are absolutely going to love it. Also, if you guys do wish to support me, the best way to do that currently is by hitting that like and subscribe button. It lets me know you guys are enjoying these videos, and it really lets YouTube know as well. Alright, let's get straight into the video. So if you guys don't know how magnetic salvo works, it's pretty simple. Basically, we're going to use lightning rods to call the rods down and stick into the ground, and then we use magnetic salvo to blow basically all the rods up. It's going to do a crazy amount of damage, and the overlapping AoE damage on it is absolutely absurd, which allows us to hit that 500k damage hits on bosses, and allows us to 1 to 2 shot them at times. So basically, with that being said, and you guys now know how magnetic salvo works, let's get straight into the gems. Real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to Sonar for showing me this build. All right, let's get into the gems now. So the first gem we're going to be talking about here is Stormcaller Arrow. We're just using this basically to set up shocks on the enemy. It's really good for those guaranteed shocks and allows us to get really good damage right off the rip. We're going to be supporting that with Conduction, which basically gives us 100% more chance to shock, which basically almost gets us to a guaranteed chance on Stormcaller. Then we're running Lightning Exposure just to expose them to basically lightning once they're shocked, which basically gives them negative 20% lightning resist. And then we run Coursing Currents, which gives us a chance to basically apply that shock in an AoE radius, which is really good for like those very tanky rares and maps. Plus, if we go against bosses that summon minions, or even sometimes when there's 2 bosses, this is really nice as well to have that chance to apply shock to everyone in the arena. Now we're running Lightning Rod. This is basically our main setup skill, where we shoot them, the rods down, and it sticks into the ground, and we're able to blow them up with magnetic salvo. We're going to be supporting that with scatter shots. This way we fire 2 additional projectiles. We put that with the basically our ascendancy, the bow. We're going to get 4 additional projectiles to shoot, which basically allows us to go in and be calling all these arrows down pretty quickly to hit that max stacks, basically, which magnetic salvo can blow up 19 rods. So basically that's why we have scatter shot, to allow us to get to that 19 as fast as possible. The next thing we basically run is Martial Tempo, which gives us more attack speed to set up quicker. And then finally we have Concentrated Effect, which allows us to do more area damage. It does give us less AoE, but that more area damage makes up for it, which allows that basically overlapping damage and that burst damage of Lightning Rod plus magnetic salvo to be absolutely insane. Now we're running Escape Shot. This is just kind of a, get out of jail free card, basically. If we're getting stuck or getting cornered, we can use this to try to relocate and freeze enemies. We're going to be running Holy Descent with it, which creates Consecrated Ground, which basically just heals us once we land. It just creates an AoE basically heal on the ground if we stand in it. Then we're running Frost Nexus to basically create Chill Ground when we freeze an enemy. It's really nice because it's basically almost a guaranteed freeze. And then we're running Cold Pen to basically penetrate that cold to do more damage and allow us to have a better chance of applying freeze to apply Frost Nexus. Next, we're running Magnetic Salvo. This is the bread and butter of the build and how we get those crazy DPS numbers, and this skill is just absolutely amazing. We're supporting that with Inevitable Critical, since we are running a crit damage version of it. This basically allows us to get more crit chance, specifically 25% for each second, up to 100% more crit chance. And then we keep all that until we do a crit, and then it loses it and it restarts. It's absolutely amazing because our crit chance is so low, since we're very early. We're in tier 4 or 5 still of maps, and we don't have that best in slot end game gear yet. So Inevitable Critical is going to be really nice until we can get a lot of crit. Then we're running Super Critical, plays perfectly with it, gives us 100% more critical hit damage bonus, which is absolutely insane, and allows us to hit those gigantic DPS numbers. Then we're running Hefty for more maximum physical damage because we're running a physical damage bow. Currently, Tri-LE bows are not better than physical damage, at least not the ones that I've crafted and seen on the market. Maybe later on, once we can really get into the deterministic crafting and really get stuff set up, it will be better, but for the current time and being, physical damage bows are just so much better. Then we're running Freezing Salvo. This just gives us a way to apply chill plus freeze enemies, and it's a really good damage source as well if we need to use it. We're supplying that with Excreate, which basically gives us 50% more chance to inflict elements, which plays perfectly with a note on the tree we take. Then we're doing Deep Freeze for 50% increased freeze duration on enemies, which basically, just gives us better time to set up, more DPS output, etc. And then Magnified Effect for that more AoE area of effect on Freezing Salvo. Then we get into our reservations, running Herald of Ice. This just gives us better clear, explode the pack sometimes, and it just gives our damaging skills a bit more damage as well. We're supporting that with Blind, just try to blind enemies on hit, which basically gives us a better chance of not getting hit by them if they are blind. And then Elemental Focus, which gives the Herald of Ice more elemental damage. Then we're running Herald of Thunder. This is really good and plays a good synergy on our magnetic salvo when we're clearing. It just allows it basically when we kill enemies, our next attacks will cause lightning bolts down, which is just more lightning damage. And since we're stacking lightning pen and damage, it just plays perfectly with it. So we're supporting that with Primal Armament for more elemental damage. Then we do Lightning Pen for more lightning penetration on the skill. And then we finally run an Nervate. Basically, this gives us 35% of damage as lightning damage for 3 seconds on killing a shocked enemy, which we're pretty much always doing, so it's just a nice bonus on top. Then we're running Wind Dancer. This is like our defense skill, basically. Gives us more evasion rating per stage, specifically 17%. And we can have 3 stages, so that's just more evasion rating. And since our only defense layer as a ranger basically is dodging, this is absolutely a must skill to have. Plus, it basically does an AoE push when we're at max stages if we get hit with a melee attack, which is really nice to get people out of our faces if we do get in like a corner or get body blocked by mobs. Then we're running Precision with it just to give us more accuracy rating. And then we have Pin. So if we do push him with Wind Dancer, we'll actually go ahead and pin them as well, which gives us more time to relocate. Then we're just running Volatile Mark. This just gives our shocks 50% increased effect, and we get more chance to shock an enemy. It's just good to throw it on a boss, and then, you know, have more chance to shock them and all that other stuff. And then we just run Persistence with it to just give them more skill effect duration. And that basically covers up what we're running for gems and all of our links. Now really quickly for gear, it's pretty simple. Like I said, we're running a fizz damage bow. This one's decent, it's not the best, but you want to just look for increased fizz damage, attack speed on the bow. That's the 2 most important stats. From there, you want to try to get like added fizz damage, try to get increased crit chance on it, because since we're, like I said, running a crit damage version of magnetic salvo, we want to have the highest critical hit chance possible for the skill. So going crit chance, increased fizz and added fizz, and then attack speed on your bow is going to be really good, as long as you can get decent modifier rolls for those stats. But that's basically what you want to look for in a bow. For a quiver, on the other hand, you want to do a prime quiver. That's going to give you the implicit for attack speed, and then you want to try to get added attack speed, and then increased damage with bow skills on it. And if you can get like critical hit damage bonus, crit chance, added fizz damage to attacks, projectile speed, any of those stats will be really, really good as well. As for the rest of our gear, I'm basically just running max life and reses to try to cap on those reses for right now, since, you know, we don't really have too much play in what we can get or craft currently, since I'm still in the early stages. But like I said, this build is absolutely amazing and shredding through the end game that I have to go ahead and show you guys this build, because man, we are hitting insane DPS numbers for the little investment that I actually have into the build itself. Now that we covered that, we can go to the tree. Now, real quick for Ascendancy, yes, I still need to do my 3rd and 4th one. I probably should, but you want to go ahead and take into point blank / far shot. Now, there is an argument to be had that far shot is better than point blank. That's because if we're running crit damage, we are going to need a lot of crit chance. And from there, we can take death from afar if we do take far shot, which we do get more critical hit chance. And then you can take snipe in the bow tree, which will give you more critical hit chance the farther the projectile travels. So far shot might be better. For now, I just run point blank, but obviously both of them are really good and viable. From there, you would go ahead and take Gathering Winds, and then for your 3rd Ascendancy, you would take Endless Munitions for that extra projectile, and then 4th one, you probably would run like Wind Ward just to have less damage taken per tailwind, and that would probably be your 4th Ascendancy setup. Now, as for the tree, we're basically just taking projectile nodes at the beginning to get to Blur. This is really nice for that evasion and move speed, and then we're going to go down this tree, and the quiver nodes here, I would not take until you have a decent quiver. Once you have a decent quiver, these are absolutely amazing to have, because it basically doubles what your quiver gives you basically. So it's really good, but you have to have a decent quiver to take these. Then we're just going to travel up against Surging Currents. This gives our damage more pen against lightning and lightning resist, and then we're going to grab Harness the Elements since we're right here, which just gives us more damage for each elemental type on an enemy. So we're already inflicting basically chill, since we can just freezing salvo as soon as we get in. We're already inflicting shock, so that's 30% more damage. And then if you have some way to inflict ignite, that would be another 15%. But for now, we just inflict chill and shock. From here, I pathed up to go ahead and take Falcon Technique, which just gives us more attack speed. And since we already have a lot of dex, it's just a lot more attack speed. And then I was running into some mana issues, so I went ahead and grabbed mental toughness to go ahead and alleviate some of those issues with mana. And that was kind of the main thing there, the reason why I took it. But if you guys are finding another way to actually counteract that, you can take these points out and put them elsewhere. From here, I basically went down and took stand and deliver, but like I said, it might be better to take death from afar. But whatever you guys are feeling, obviously take the corresponding ones if you want to do far shot or point blank. But both of these are still really good to have. From there, I traveled down and grabbed Frazzle. This gives more magnitude of shock, and we have just more magnitude of shock leading up to it, so it's really good. From over here, just more attack damage, move speed, and chance to maim, which is nice, which just maiming just basically reduces their move speed and chance to hit you, plus more attack damage is always a good bonus. From there, I would actually go ahead and take acceleration just because it gives you more skill speed, which allows us to, you know, shoot quicker, move, or set up skills, or whatever the case may be. Absolutely amazing. Plus, that 3% move speed isn't insane, but it's something added on top, so why not? From there, I would path up and take electrocution. Basically, just gives us 20% more damage against enemies that are electrocuted, and then the build up to it basically is just more increased electrocute build up. So it's a really good node here to take. Since we are doing a crit damage, we are going to be taking this whole crit cluster basically, besides this one right here. So struck through, heartbreaking, and heartstopper. This just gives us more critical hit chance, more critical hit damage, and attacks have 1% more to critical hit chance, which is absolutely amazing. So this whole node is really nice for us. And then since we're here, we might as well path up and take Coming Calamity, which will give us 50% more cold and lightning since we have Herald of Thunder and Ice activated, which is really nice as well. From there, you would go ahead and come over and path down to basically Exploit, which gives us increased damage with hits against enemies inflicted by elemental ailments. And since we always have shock, to just 25% more damage for free. Then we would path down and we would take Emboldened Avatar and Forces of Nature to give us even more damage and penetrate against elemental reses. Gives us more electrocute and shock build up basically. And then once we would have more points, we would actually go to Lightning Rod. So we would take Flash Storm, go down in a Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod basically makes our non-crits lucky, which makes them roll twice. So if we hit an enemy, the game rolls to see what your min and max damage and all that would be doing. Basically, it just makes it to where it rolls again and gives you a better hit and more damage. So it's just really nice to have. And then Flash Storm would be more penetration against lightning resist, so it's even more free damage. And then obviously once we get later into the higher levels, I would go through and you know, be changing the tree up a little bit, taking less crit stuff, more crit damage, etc. But for right now, this is how I would have the tree set up, and that should be about a level 75 or so tree that you would have there. So I went ahead and went over the tree. I went ahead and did our ascendancy where you guys would go. I went over all of my gear real quick. I'll just flick over them so this way if I didn't, you guys can see it all. And then from there, I went ahead and went over all the gems. So the build is absolutely amazing. I'm in love with it right now. We're doing a lot of damage. We're blasting through maps. We're absolutely destroying bosses. And again, a huge thank you to Sonar for actually setting up and telling me about this build. I've been having an absolute blast while playing it. I think you guys will too. Obviously, if you have any questions throughout the video, and if you guys made it this far to the video, thank you guys for watching it and really helping me out. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, this pretty much covers it. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below and I will get to them as soon as I can. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day or night depending on when you're watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.